Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about MTV Party To Go. Now this was a series that originated I think in 1991 and lasted through 2001. And essentially it's a series of albums that were released one a year, and they originally called it like Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. And for each volume would basically take the cream of the crop of the top 40 music that was all the hits, the top 40 hits from that year. So let's say the very first one that I showed was in 1991. They would take basically all the cream of the crop hits of 1990 and compile them. And majority of the music, or you would call them probably urban music, where it's dance music slash R&B slash hip hop, that kind of thing. So they would take that, compile them, and remix them. Majority of the songs, that is. And the very first time I heard of them was this album. I got this from a friend. But I borrowed a tape version of this. This happens to be volume 2 from a friend. First time I never knew about this. I looked at the song track in the back of the cassette. I was like, wow, it's pretty good. Let listen to it. I'm not a big fan of remix. I always like the originals. But again, I took that because, first of all, the track listing. But second of all, you gotta admit, this album cover is pretty good. So, anyway, so took it back, listened to the whole thing, and like, wow. I mean, this particular album was the very first one that when I borrowed from a friend, I actually just kept it for a while, for a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, until I wouldn't say sick of it, but it was a point in time where, hey, I got to return it, so I got to return it. And I didn't have I was kind of just not just listening, but just trying to find a way to find someone who can dub it for me to a separate tape. But I never got that, but eventually, I returned the tape, and I think there's a song in there that I don't know which one, but it was blanking out for about 3 seconds or so. I'm pretty sure I got the tape like that. I don't think I wore it out, but if I did, that tells you how much I love that album. But anyway, so this MTV Party To Go, to me, first of all, it was very unique. I don't think there was anything like it back then. There's people labels that try to mimic it during that time, during that decade, and just nothing like it afterwards. After the series ended, the MTV series ended, mainly it's just the music changed a bit, and then the CD thing is just not as a popular piece anymore, but there's just nothing like it. Again, it's just they take a compilation. What makes this series great is that it's not just a compilation, it's a remix. And these remixes, first of all, were done great. Majority of the remixes on here were fantastic. Can't complain. They didn't change the song in a way that made it unrecognizable or anything like that. They just took the song as it is, and majority of it, they extended it, and extended the good parts where, like either the drum beat or the chorus or some type of riff or something in there. They would make a extension to it, some kind of loop maybe. It was just fantastically done. I mean, if you wanted to find a way to remix, and I know there's many ways of remixing. These days, a remix would be taking a song and adding a different person in there, and they would usually sing like a section or rap over it, and that would be considered a remix. But this is actually taking the original song and mixing it up in a way that is more danceable, more enjoyable, and longer too. So the remixes, and again, I don't know who remixed. I'm pretty sure there's multiple DJs that did it, and they all did a fantastic job. Secondly, these remixes, from what I understand, were unique to the series. A majority of them were. It's remixes that you can't find anywhere. So, let's say a Will Smith song on here, "Summertime." There's a fantastic remix on that Volume 2 set. If you try to buy the single "Summertime" at the time from Will Smith directly, and the singles would usually have like a remix or a cappella or a different version of the radio edit or the album, you won't find this remix on there. It's very unique to the MTV series. So you're getting, technically speaking, original songs as well. The remixes being only unique to this album, you can't get anywhere else. And it was done so that each song segued into the next perfectly. It was like professionally done, like a DJ would do when you go to a club. They would transition song after song. I mean, I have no DJ experience. I don't know how to DJ, but at that time, if I was like an emergency DJ, like if the original DJ didn't show up, I would have DJ'd, and all I would have done was bring a set of these MTV Party To Go series and just play it and act like I'm like DJing, but I'm not. I just play it directly, front to back, no changes, no skips, no nothing. And I don't think anyone would have known. I mean, they would think that, hey, this is an actual DJ doing its thing. So that's how good this series was. And not to mention, they take the cream of the crop. They take each album, majority of the songs were absolute bangers, like hands down. And the remixes of these bangers made it even more of a banger. So it's a series that I truly enjoyed. And during the 90s was a great time for kind of the dance era. So like you would hear the Italian, the Euro house, and then the hip hop and hip hop music at that time. They used a lot of good samples from like dance stuff, of like funk, disco, that kind of thing. That was more of had a more danceable beat. These days it's just trap music. It's just the same kind of drum beat, drum loop, and so forth. No, I wouldn't say creativity, but it's just repetitive, that kind of thing. If personally for hip hop, besides the bars, I know the bars are most important, but with hip hop, to me also the beat is important. So, in the 90s with hip hop, they sampled well. I mean, they took anything and everything, especially the early 90s when I don't think the sampling was really restrictive. You could just sample multiple albums and so forth and then just create one, and it's just, wow, it's unbelievable. So that period, I would say, for dance music was fantastic. This series coming out at that time and the way they were remixing it, absolutely just, wow, just godlike. I mean, it was, I don't know what else to say. I mean, put it this way. MTV Party To Go had volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10. And then I think they had a remix, like basically remix from the past, the remix of the 10 volumes. And then they continued on, but instead of using volumes, they went like year. So 1998, 1999, 2000. I think 2000 was the last one. But anyway, I had the first 10, and I didn't buy it all at once or even in that time. The only album I bought during the 90s was this one, the second one, which I love. And then probably number 3, I think, which was also good. The rest I got much later when going to like a used CD place or something like that. I was able to get these, like, people just got rid of them because the music was different at the time. But I was able to get them pretty cheap, and I got all 10. Now I can't seem to find 2 of them, but basically I got all 10. That's how much I love the series. And listening to each volume, it's a good thing because every volume they took some of the best like urban dance music and remixed it well. They've done a great job. I don't have any complaints or can't complain of anything for each volume. Now, there might be songs that I didn't like to begin with, and they remixed it and added it to the album, but that has nothing to do with the remixing. And to be honest, some of these remixes of songs that I don't like are actually pretty decent. For example, the second one, that second volume I keep mentioning, there's one song I never liked. It was Playground by ABC. Basically they're a bunch of like 10-year-olds singing, and it's not, the songs are almost kids like, but not my thing. But I gotta admit, the remix on here wasn't bad at all. I mean, it's a song I would usually skip if it was just the normal song, but I didn't mind listening to it. That's how good this album was. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this series was really, really popular that other labels were trying to mimic it. I think from the mid 90s on, there was like Dance Mix USA. This one particular I actually bought, called Ultimate Dance Party. I think they had 5 or 6 of these, starting with this one. I think this was the first one, I'm pretty sure, 1997. There was like the ESPN Jock Jams, and there's also Jock Rock. This happens to be volume 2. Now, the problem with these, they're good in their own right, but there's 2 things. First of all, some of these are just compilations like the Jock Jams. They're just compilations of the popular songs, the popular dance tunes. Yeah, they're kind of, they're tailored toward like arenas, or like if you go to a basketball game, the songs you would hear at the stadium, they would, compile it onto here, which is fine. That's pretty cool, and that's why I got this one. I actually like this album itself. I like the songs on there, but there's no remixes or anything. They're basically songs you can get from, if you bought the artist directly, that you get the same song. Secondly, for something like this, they're kind of restricted to, I think, the artists in the label. So like this one would be Arista. I'm pretty sure all the music that they would put on here, there was some remix as well, but they're songs from the label. So you're kind of restricted to that. That's what made the MTV Party To Go series great. The label, I think, is let me look it up real quick. Tommy Boy. But they didn't, the music from there that they included in the MTV Party To Go series had nothing to do with the label. They took whatever. It didn't matter what label. They just get the license and then just stuck it in there and then made a remix album out of it. It was perfect. Now, the closest thing to the MTV Party To Go series at that time was this one, The House of Groove. This one was also by Arista, and this one was actually really good. They were all remixes that you can't really find out anywhere. I think they're kind of unique to this. You might be able to find a few, maybe the artists directly if they were really popular, but these were all remixes compiled into one. Again, the only problem, well, 2 problems. The first one being it's kind of stuck with the Arista label, so pretty much Arista artists. Second of all, it was just that. There was no volume 2, volume 3. It started and ended right there, from what I understand. So it wasn't like a continuing year by year thing. Now, these days, the closest thing you'll get to something like this Party To Go series would be the Now series, NOW, Now, or Now That's What I Call Music. And I gotta admit, that one, I remember seeing it in the early 2000s, and it's still going on these days. I mean, every year they put out 1, maybe 2 albums. Then they would put out some specialty albums like Now This Is Christmas, or now, they even have a K-pop one. Now This Is K-pop. The problem with the original Now series, is that it takes, I think, the top 40, but they take all genres. It's not like urban or dance or anything like that. They take all, they'll include country, they'll include like the soft stuff. As long as it was a hit, they'll take it and they'll compile it. And that's Number one, that it's kind of not my thing. It's okay, but really, it's more of a top 40 compilation of the year. And number two, there are no remixes, right? It's just basically the radio or album versions of each song. That I from what I recall, I don't. Every time I see it, I don't see like a remix or anything. So essentially, you can get that song anywhere or just download it. So it first, and that's the reason why. Like with the Now series, probably half of the album I don't like or could care for. So why buy the album? Just get the songs that you would like, and that's it. They're done, right? So that's the issue I have with the Now series. But the thing is, that's the only thing that comes, that is a compilation, and for its longevity, I gotta admit it they got the audience they need because it lasted this long. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people, casual listeners, that just want to hear the top 40 songs of all genre or most genres, and Now provides that, which is, hey, I guess they're doing their job. So, but going back, the MTV Party To Go series came out at a great time of dance music. It was it tailored toward that genre: dance, urban, hip hop, slow jams, even, but you know, the popular ones that you could dance to or groove to. And they remixed, I think, majority of them. There still might be a song or two on each album that are album versions, but majority were remixes. They were unique remixes to the MTV Party Go series that you can't really find anywhere else, and done professionally. Again, the transitioning is perfect, like a club, like you would go to a club. And for the most part, the remixes were done fantastic. I can't complain. Again, going back to this album, Volume 2, this one. There's some remixes on here that I prefer over the album, even how much I love the album version or the original version. I always think of this particular one because that's how good it was. And to me, this album, this particular volume, is the best in the series. Volume 2, hands down, best in the series. I've had, like I said, I have all 10. I haven't listened to the other 3 that came after or so, but it wouldn't matter. This is the best of this series. Not only the songs that came out that they chose were fantastic, but the remixes that made it even better. The best song on here, hands down, was PM Dawn's Set Adrift on Memory Bliss. You gotta listen to that. I don't know if you're gonna like the song or not, but the remix, especially the intro part, all the way, absolutely fantastic. That is the version I always like to listen to. There's also, remember Marky Mark? I mean, Marky Mark and his Good Vibrations. You gotta admit, that song is good. I know you can hate on him, or you may not even know him as a music artist, but back in the day, as Marky Mark, Good Vibrations was his song. That was his signature song. Hate his rap, whatever you want, you can't get away from that piano riff. Hands down, that piano riff is, that made the song. Besides Holloway's singing on that, but this version is fantastic as well. They extended some of that piano riff part of it, which is perfect. So all I can say is this series, hands down, the best of the genre. The genre being compilation albums for the year, taking the top 40 dance songs, danceable songs, urban songs, and remixing them. There's nothing like it. Nothing that came before it that I understand. Nothing during the time that can compete with this series, and then nothing really after the series ended. So, and again, that decade of 90s dance music, fantastic. Dance, hip hop, R&B, they're all great to remix to, and it came out at a perfect time. And I wish something like this, like instead of the Now series, I wish it might not be MTV, but some label just go and do the same thing. Just compile some of the popular danceable songs, whether it's hip hop, R&B, whatever, just pop music that you can dance to or you would play in the clubs, and just remix it and then have it professionally done, segue into each song, and from there I may buy something like that again. Who knows? So too bad it's not done. I don't think it's ever going to be done, but if it never will ever come out to be done again, at least there's the MTV Party To Go. And if you've never ever listened to it or don't know 90s music or anything like that, give this a shot. Give this series a shot, especially this volume. Pick this volume up. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I definitely wasn't. And I'm pretty sure you won't. I can almost guarantee that you won't. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed it. This brings back good memories from a, dance music perspective. And I really enjoyed it. Again, I have all 10 volumes. I may pick up the other 3 later on, but at this point in time, I do listen to this once in a while, particularly volume 2, maybe volume 5 and 3. Volume 1 was good too. The rest were okay too. So it's one of those where I still have a 100 disc player. I would just pop all of them in and just have them play, So fantastic series. I wish it's been done again, but if not, thank you, MTV. Party To Go, that is. So, thank you.